A day in the life of a nobody. A day in the life of a nobody.
So, my sister has this well trodden phrase about my mother, which is that it's never enough. Whatever you do, it's never enough. And I suppose I've agreed with it on and off mostly. Yeah, probably true. And you know, things that would apply, like things like Christmases. My mother's expectations of Christmas always were greater than the reality. So she was always disappointed. I would always end up in tears. There weren't enough grandchildren there. The grandchildren didn't give her enough attention. Whatever it might be, things like that. So she'd always be very excited about Christmas and have made all of these assumptions about what it would be like, and it would never meet that standard at all. Brilliant. So in that sense, I always thought, yeah, you know, fair point. It's never enough. And you know, you'd go and stay with them, and you'd say, oh, we'll come down on Tuesday and we'll leave on Thursday. Oh, can't you stay till the weekend? No, because we've got work. And then most of the time you were there, she would be disappointed you weren't staying longer and would be quite vociferous about that. So, as I say, there is merit in my sister's phrase of, it's never enough, never enough. She always wants more. The prime example presented to me only 2 days ago was that Gemma and I had a discussion, and we thought, you know, this idea of her just going into a home is going to be, again, brilliant, is going to be really difficult for her because for several reasons, not least of which she wouldn't be able to take her dog, Henry, which would really upset her, which I can really understand. I get that, that would be upsetting. And also the piano's difficult and the doll's house, all the things she wants to take that she keeps telling us every time we ring. And Gemma suggested, and I had thought about this a bit as well in my own time, shall we say, just the idea of perhaps if we got her into rented accommodation initially, see how she is, and then when it doesn't work, say, okay, we need to get you into a home. Because that way, at least we are meeting all of her requirements, which are, you're bringing me to Shropshire to be near you, I'll have a place of my own, I'll see you all the time, I'll have Henry, my piano, and the doll's house. And you know, up until now, I've always thought she just needs to go into a home. She's not going to cope. She needs to be cared for. But with that, as I think I mentioned in my last video, it just went the guilt of going, yeah, no, we're not putting you in a home, knowing full well that our intention was to do that. So this new kind of thought of, well, perhaps let's put her in some rented accommodation and see, you know, very close by, so that when anything goes wrong, which will be most days, at least I don't have to drive 4 hours to sort it out. Didn't go anywhere. So I told her this because I actually rang her almost with a lightness in my heart for once. I just thought, oh God, you know, I can actually tell her with truth behind it that she's getting what she wants and not feel guilty about it, and actually it'll be quite a pleasant conversation. And you know, it was for about half an hour. Then she rang back. Now, you're not going to put me anywhere unless I've seen it first, are you? And a list of requirements suddenly. Whole list of requirements. And I was just thinking, I'm giving you everything you want, but you still want to live in I can imagine what she wants. She would like a little thatched cottage with a little rose trellis round the front door. And pictures of her beautiful mansion on every wall. This is the house I used to live in. Now I live in this modest but incredibly pretty cottage. None of that's going to happen. It's going to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, semi-detached in Hanwood, the village. Because it's not going to last long. She won't cope. The only kind of upside, apart from the fact that she'll be getting what she wants momentarily, is the fact that the rent will be about well, it'll be £1,000 a month as opposed to £2,000 a week. So we'll actually, therefore, be saving money for the long term in the retirement stroke care home. But there's never, and my sister's right. It's never enough. Whatever you do, it's never enough. She always presumes something else. I predict that'll be the problem. The house is wrong. It's because I'm in the wrong house. It won't be that she can't remember anything and she doesn't know where we are, and she doesn't know where she is, and doesn't know what to do now. The anxiety will just be, it's the situation that's wrong, not her. There's nothing wrong with her. The confusing thing is it's not what she had in her head, whatever that might be. She also rang Gemma yesterday, tried to ring me, I was at work, but she rang Gemma to ask what Gemma thought she should do. Should she stay a bit longer at Takata, the house, or sell it? I'm just discovering all this whole conundrum that dementia is. People have been discovering this and dealing with this for years and years. But it's like anything. It's like having a baby. You hear about it, you imagine what it might be like, but it's nothing like what it is actually like. And I don't know whether I've said this before, but the thing about the state my mother's in at the moment is it's like, as I've previously said, she's in a permanent state of sort of high stress and anxiety. You can resolve it, maybe, if you try hard enough, but then 2 minutes later, she's forgotten the resolution and she's back to where she was. And it does remind me of when my daughter Tilly was a little girl, tiny little baby, and I was left in charge. Gemma went back to work and I was the number one, carer number one, please, for a few months, until she went to nursery, well, a couple of years, I don't know, a few months. Anyway, first day, Gemma left. There were sort of bottles of milk and expressed milk and stuff like that, and everything was ready, we were all lined up, I had everything ready, and Tilly started crying, and I tried everything. I changed her nappy, I tried giving her some milk, I gave her some water, I walked up and down with her, I sang her a little song. Nothing happened, nothing changed. I shouted at her, shut up! Nothing, no response. Completely oblivious. Don't know what it was. I mean, presumably she stopped at some point. But I remember thinking, it makes no difference what I say. Of course, it makes no difference. And that's what's happening with my mother. Only difference is, Tilly grew out of it. My mother's growing into it. Again. So it's, it is a voyage of discovery and a very unpleasant one. And a lot of people have been on that voyage before, and I'm on it now. I've had lots of, bits of advice. People have said some very helpful things, and I, take them on board, absolutely. But it still doesn't take away that edge of kind of almost disbelief that she can't retain anything. It means logic's just gone. It means, it's like space. It's like just the void. It means that nothing can be tied down anymore. Nothing can be categorised. Nothing can be pigeonholed. Nothing can be sorted. And she's heading into that void. And our ability to communicate with her is already incredibly challenging because she doesn't retain anything. I've spent quite a lot of years avoiding my mum because she's been quite difficult. My sister would certainly agree with that. Very demanding, very manipulative, Anyway, I won't go on about that. But I've spent a lot. You know, I've been happy not being around her too much. It's never been. She hasn't been a pleasure to be around for 15, 20 years. I don't know. Because you know, somehow we weren't entertaining them. We weren't talking to them enough. They couldn't hear what we were saying. We were excluding them because we couldn't hear what they were saying. We weren't watching the sort of programs they watched. Do people really swear like this on television? She's been very difficult. She's, you know, been in a very. They lived in a very sort of strange little bubble from the 1950s, where the world was wrong. They were right. The world used to be brilliant, but now it's all wrong. And they were, you know, hanging in there in the 1950s in their bubble. And so, yes, you know, I think I've mentioned I do feel resentful for a lot of the kind of coercion and the manipulation. But equally, I'm beginning to feel sorry that this is her legacy now. I'm not going to forget this. This is going to be, I think, and people will probably tell me otherwise, but I genuinely think this is what I'm going to be, what I remember. Because it's the worst bits of her. The coercion, the manipulation, saying anything to get what she wants, literally anything, however damaging, however unpleasant to hear, however insulting to those around her, to the people who's, you know, she loves, apparently. So all the worst bits have manifested themselves and sort of metastasized into all that's left, really. And she was a good mother. She brought me up. She gave me everything she could. She tried, you know, on my sort of values, I think, are pretty sound. And she certainly, you know, financially helped me out a lot when I was a struggling actor. And she, you know, she cared, but it was all on her terms. There was kind of a sense of she liked us to be in debt in a way. I mean, does that sound awful? But that's kind of how it felt. Where she liked to be needed, and she liked the effect of having done something that we couldn't do without for us. She's done that for us. So somehow we were indebted to her. Don't know. I might be being a bit cruel there, but she was, you know, I never felt unloved. I felt, you know, physically in danger sometimes, because I think she did have serious mental health problems in her certainly in her 30s and 40s. And that did sort of manifest itself in quite a sort of physical way, in terms of smacks and spanks and all that sort of stuff. But you know, as I said before, to me, all that was just normal. So I just got on with it. I didn't feel like it. You know, I was hung up on it. But you know. Again, nurture-wise, I think it did have an effect in my 20s with my sort of own anger management, which I've tried to redress, and I think mostly have. So I try and hold on to that, but this is having more impact. The behaviour now and the mother that I've got left does feel this has much more. Well, because it's happening now, and I'm conscious of it, and it spends 90% of my consciousness is thinking about it. So certainly at the moment, this is the legacy that I'm gonna take when she finally heads up the wooden hill.
And it would be so funny, it would be so funny if I had $1 for everyone. And it would be so funny, it would be so funny, the day in the life of a nobody. And it would be so funny, it would be so funny if I had $1 for everyone. And it would be so funny. so funny, a day in the life of a nobody.